On this episode, we give our reaction to WWE Roadblock, Neville's injury, Triple H versus Dolph Ziggler, new WrestleMania matches, Mick Foley, and more now on Byte That. Hey gang, what is going on? And welcome to episode 134 of Byte That's weekly wrestling podcast, the place where we talk about, you know the deal. There is a wrestling ring and people go inside of it. There is storytelling, different things that occur inside of it, which is the WWE. So thanks for tuning in and checking out the show. Remember, we are available every single Tuesday night on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, ByteThat.com, and for this and tons more, especially now that we are on the road to WrestleMania, we're going to have some exclusive content over at youtube.com/ByteThatCast. And as always, guys, gang, if you want to support the show, additionally, first of all, like Keith, and secondly, leave a review on iTunes. Just drop a review. Say you love the show. Say you hate it. As long as the review is not about Jim Cornette, because we do have a Jim Cornette review still there. iTunes never took it down. Go to iTunes, drop that. Without further ado, my name is Juan Velas. I am from San Juan, Puerto Rico, and joining me from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, Keith Poshik, and from Boston of the Massachusetts, Ryan McNulty. Ryan, is your mouth 100%?
Not 100%, but it is much, much better than last week. I was actually in physical pain after last week's episode. Not because you guys are so terrible, no, but actually because I was still just recovering, but I am so much better this week. So I'll be able to talk more and talk more like myself. My tongue is still a little numb. Apparently, I got those teeth out like 5 years too late, so some nerve damage is still recovering, but I'm way, way better.
Hey, progress is progress, baby. As long as you're moving in the right direction, then that's all we can ask for. And we're happy you're here,
man.
Ryan.
We are here to support you.
Well, now I feel bad for calling you guys terrible.
Terrible? We care about you.
As you should.
Yeah.
Because I love you.
We love you.
But I'm terrible.
This is getting heavy, man.
It feels like we need a little bit of a dramatical music, which, I mean, it may come up during this episode. We unfortunately have to talk about yet more injuries happening in the WWE. We thought that we were out of this, guys. Like, it was almost a thing that was of the past. But before that, we did have Roadblock. Usually, the super events happen on Sunday. Roadblock was a WWE live event held all the way from Canada. It happened this past Saturday night with the main event of Triple H versus Dean Ambrose. We offered somewhat of a predictions, considering we didn't really know the majority of the card. We got odd matches like Jack Swagger versus Chris Jericho. I mean, when you think about Canada, you think about Jack Swagger, Keith. I mean, I'm assuming that when you saw this show, you're like, yes, he represents me.
Well, when I think Canadian hero, when I think, hey, you know, somebody's going to come out there and just bash Canada and somebody needs to come to the rescue, you know, on behalf of Canada, Jack Swagger's the dude, you know, a real Canadian hero.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Jack Swagger was a guy that took the championship away from Chris Jericho. So, Chris, you got to give the guy credit. At least he tried to shoehorn Jack Swagger into his promo, but then people started to realize what was about to happen, and the crowd just went silent.
I still got to give kudos to Jericho just on the fact, like, oh, it didn't hit me until he started coming out. Like, wait a minute, they just turned him heel, but he's going in front of a Canadian crowd. Is this just going to bomb? But nope, Jericho found a way, and he did a fantastic job.
Yeah, I mean, it's night and day with Jericho as heel versus when he was doing the babyface stuff. His heel promos are so on point, and he's really good at actually getting legitimate hate, even if it comes down to, you know, doing some of the oldest tricks in the book, which is just kind of trash talking the town you happen to be in. It just it did seem weird. I feel like only in Vince McMahon's imagination is a Canadian crowd gonna, you know, deny their own citizen and embrace the American hero to come in. I'm pretty sure they're kind of sick of that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, maybe Jericho set up a challenge for himself. Like, man, I'm going to go over to Canada, get myself booed, and not just do that. I'm going to try to get Jack Swagger cheered, which didn't work considering we got the CM Punk chance and all that. But, guys,
because that makes sense.
Yeah, but poor Jack Swagger, he had to feel a little bit of pain during that process.
Really? Poor Jack Swagger? Kind of think he did it to himself. I don't harbor a lot of sympathy for old Jackie. He booked
his own match, guys. Come on.
He got in a match with Chris Jericho. That's like the most relevant he's been since
he got what? Even if it's on a network special, he got in front of a television camera.
It's better than Superstars, but I want to get your quick overall impressions about Roadblock. Some people were sort of like, yeah, this is lackluster. Others were like, yeah, we got a couple of good matches. The majority of them were maybe on the forgettable side, but we had the main event. The NXT Tag Team title match I thought was outstanding. So Ryan, Keith, and myself, your overall Roadblock reactions.
Roadblock was very weird to me. Like, I thought there wasn't really a bad match on the show. I thought a lot of matches got time and they were all solid. And there was definitely some standouts. Like you said, the NXT tag title match and, of course, the main event. The only thing was this was positioned in such a way like it was going to be important, like going towards WrestleMania, where it really had almost no significance for WrestleMania. And I think that's where people were let down. I think they were expecting storyline progression. And instead, what we got was like a nice little wrestling show with a pay-per-view like main event. So I think it was just, I did a video on the YouTube channel that you can check out, kind of saying that I don't think the problem might have been the show, but really just how it was positioned. And I think that's what kind of rubbed people the wrong way.
And I think you're 100% right on that. Roadblock was a good show. Like you said, there wasn't a bad match on the card, and there was a couple of standouts, being the main event and the NXT tag team match.
And even the women's title match, too, not to mention.
Yeah, that's true enough. But it was a bit of a one-trick pony show where it felt like there's everything else, and then there's the main event. But when you put it through the lens of, oh, this is basically just a televised house show, I think that's okay.
Exactly, and I think that was the situation because even myself looking in, I realized it was a house show that was going to be on TV, so I should just look forward to the matches. We have commentary, which honestly was really obnoxious, and I muted for a couple of times or just zoned out at the commentary. I've just had this love-hate relationship with it.
I found it so interesting. Sorry to cut you off, Juan, but the commentary was so different from match to match. Like, I thought, I'm going to use JBL as the example because he's the one that got, he was the most obnoxious of the entire show. Like, during that point, I'm just like, shut up, JBL. But during the NXT tag match, I thought JBL was great talking about, or just hyping up the revival and actually like mentioning smart things and not just going, oh, you still got it. It was so polarizing throughout the show.
Yeah, and I think that was the big issue with that. But overall, matches were great. The main event, it got the people unbelievably involved. NXT tag title match did their job. It built up Enzo Cass, so they eventually go up to the main roster, which better be now, because for crying out loud, you lose yet another tag title opportunity. What is even left for Enzo and Cass in NXT? I don't know. The main event match was great. Even matches like Sami Zayn versus Stardust were a little bit out there. Not just because of Stardust, but they were fun to watch. So the expectation for any of this should be like, thanks to the network, we are able to even see a televised house show. So we should just enjoy it for that, because a lot of the comments were, oh, guys, the build-up. Honestly, I'm just going to say there wasn't a lot of build-up for the show. There was a lot of build-up for one match. We didn't even get the other one, which was Brock Lesnar versus Bray Wyatt. Apparently, Bray Wyatt has a back problem or something. We got Luke Harper. I would have just discarded that match completely. I get that they got to have Brock Lesnar.
I mean, Lesnar's on the card. You can't just take Lesnar off the card. With the injury, there, it makes a lot of sense. At the time, I was just so pissed because how do you advertise Bray Wyatt versus Brock Lesnar and then just not, like, it's a pretty big match, even if Bray Wyatt is just not what he should be. And instead, it's just not what's advertised. They advertise it as a 2-1 handicap match, and Bray Wyatt does basically nothing. So that was a disappointment. Yes, when it comes to light that there's an injury, you're like, okay, now that makes sense. But the way it was presented to us, the regular fan isn't going to know that, and they're just going to feel cheated.
But remember, when you go to those house shows, there's always that giant asterisk, card subject to change. It was just an event of that happening.
Silent audience when they realized we're actually getting Luke Harper and not Wyatt, which I get. You know, you can positively say at least Bray Wyatt didn't lose a match, but at least give people the match they wanted or prepare them mentally. Like, that match may not happen. When you have Bray Wyatt cut a promo on Raw and all of these things, it's a little weird to just have that happen. But overall, Roadblock, I would say, was a pretty fun show. And it did lead to some things happening on Raw. The first thing we're going to get to is Triple H and Dolph Ziggler. So Triple H comes out after he is introduced by Stephanie McMahon, brags about the fact that he is still champion. Dolph Ziggler comes out and he performs a similar promo that he's done on YouTube a lot. You know, a post-match and that type of stuff where he talks about, scratching and clawing. And then eventually it leads to a match between Triple H and I was going to say Stephanie, Dolph Ziggler. Now, Triple H...
Oh, that's later.
Yeah, Triple H apparently didn't want this match too much. Whoa! Now, this match had a stipulation where if Ziggler won, he would get any match he wanted at WrestleMania, sans the championship match, which I appreciated that they actually explained that. A lot of times they will leave that out. Dolph Ziggler loses, guys. Now, I'm not sure where they're going to go with this. I do think it's weird how it is such a big win-loss situation, and they actually got the loss to a guy that's already just been steadily going down. So I don't know if this is a tinfoil hat moment where we have to overthink, like this may lead to something, but what do you guys think?
Honestly, if you're Dolph Ziggler and you actually somehow won that match, what would you honestly pick for a match? Is there anything
Andre the Giant Battle Royal?
Like, do you throw yourself in the 1,000-man Intercontinental title scene? Do you make you put yourself in a triple threat for the U.S. title? Do you make it a fatal four-way for the Divas Championship?
Whoa!
What if you make the Hell in a Cell match a triple threat, and then if you win, you get
Shane
WWE?
McMahon and Dolph Ziggler, the most random match of all time.
Yeah, that is a WWE 2K16 match. If
Dolph
I've ever
Ziggler
heard of
inserts
one.
himself into the match, and if he wins, he gets to control SmackDown.
Holla, holla. But guys, yeah, Dolph Ziggler. So he loses. Did you actually feel anything when he lost? Because the whole segment was catered to the fact that people still like Ziggler, right? And that crowd at least did react accordingly. But even myself, I felt a little bit more... maybe this is a thing of the past. Maybe if this segment happened about a year and a half ago, I would care about it a little more.
I actually really enjoyed it, though. I was kind of able to put that aside in my mind and just enjoy the match for what it was and buy into Ziggler one last time, maybe. I had hopes that, believe it or not, I was hoping Roman Reigns was going to help him win just to see like what they would do with Ziggler if he had won. But I thought it was an excellent match. And I mean, hey, as much as it seems like, oh, Dolph Ziggler's irrelevant, if you're in the ring with Triple H, you're not irrelevant. You're obviously doing something right. They wouldn't be putting him in there, a couple weeks. Triple H is main eventing WrestleMania in a couple weeks. They're not going to put just any guy with him in a match leading up to that. So I think that shows that maybe they are going to do something with Dolph Ziggler if they're putting him in such an important spot a couple weeks out from WrestleMania.
Yeah, like the match itself was great. And a quick side note, holy crap, Triple H, real talk. Triple H is the best.
Are you going with kickouts?
Well, yes, he is the king of that. Only seconded by Seth Rollins of just the 2.999 kick out.
I was going to say, that is a lost art. People, I feel like, don't have the balls to go that far with a kick out nowadays. And Triple H was insanely good at it.
Mm-hmm. But honestly, Triple H, probably the best worker on that roster right now.
Really
Nobody comes close to what Triple H can do in the ring. But I think that, this is good for Dolph that he lost. I think in the long run, he's probably not going to be at WrestleMania. But
whoa, not even thrown in the Battle Royal.
That better be a good payoff.
If he is going to be in a match, it's going to be in a multi-man match. But from a storyline perspective, the whole, okay, Dolph, you lost, you got left off of WrestleMania, resentment being built for being left off of WrestleMania builds, and then that leads to something after WrestleMania, maybe Dolph versus the Authority if it still exists, or whatever that may be. I think from a storyline perspective, that makes sense. Now, you mentioned, do you still feel anything for Dolph? And honestly, that answer is not really anymore. It's just one of those, you can step up to the plate and get hit so many times before you just don't want to go up to the plate anymore. It's just you've been hurt so many times before. It's almost like a Bray Wyatt just extended over many, many years.
Yeah,
it's more like Bray Wyatt was an accelerated Dolph Ziggler, where it's just happened way more frequently for him.
I said this last week, and I still think Dean Ambrose is getting the push that Dolph Ziggler was going to get. My quick side note about Triple H. Triple H really is in a league of his own when it comes to just in-ring work, because he had two completely different opponents in Dean Ambrose and Dolph Ziggler. Two guys that are noticeably smaller than him. And Dolph Ziggler, a lot of times will complain he oversells or whatever the case. But with Triple H, something just clicked. And there was this level of veteran skills versus like this young up-and-comer, which Dolph Ziggler is not. But in the context of this match, you felt just some kind of chemistry that you also had with Dean Ambrose. And it sort of gives you a reminder you can have a different style of match with selling and the 2.9 kickouts. That to me means a hell of a lot more than 20 super kicks or anything similar to that.
Agreed.
No, absolutely. It felt old school. Like with Triple H in the match, it didn't seem like the run-of-the-mill Raw match that we always see. We see that same match multiple times per Raw every single week. And when Triple H is in there, it's
just that extra level of finesse that Triple H brings.
Exactly.
Now, guys, after this, we did get a return. We've talked about Roman Reigns being out of action for multiple weeks. Apparently, he actually did require some sort of surgery, and they used this as an opportunity to get that done. But Roman Reigns' bag came out from the stage, not the audience, which Triple H was expecting.
I love how that it's a big shocker that Roman Reigns went through the stage instead of the crowd.
Even the commentary team, everybody was reacting. He came out from the stage. Like, he figured that out, finally. Jericho gave him some tips, but he came out to not the best reaction. And I'll be honest, because we can talk about the fans all we want, right? But the best perception we can give is our own. And I'll be the first to say, when Roman Reigns came back, I felt nothing. I felt just absolutely nothing. My first reaction was, okay, it makes sense. You're at WrestleMania, so you have to come out and assault this guy. Good luck, I guess.
It's going to be a real bummer when Roman Reigns and Triple H don't have a match as good as Dean Ambrose and Triple H. How the Roadblock main event is going to be potentially a better match than the WrestleMania main event.
I think there's a decent chance that you could be wrong, Keith, because the main event of WrestleMania, they'll be willing to add as many bells and whistles as they want. And maybe it won't be as good. Maybe you're right. But they will be willing to add more things to the match, and it could end up being better because it has that benefit that they're willing to go a little bit further outside the box. As far as Reigns' return, though, yeah, I was in the same boat as you guys, where when he showed up, I didn't really feel anything, but I think the segment was done right, and that's what you should do for a Roman Reigns return, is he just beat the holy hell out of Triple H, took it backstage, total chaos. Like, this is what you want to be doing with Roman Reigns. So maybe it didn't get the best reaction, but I completely agree with, in the situation they're in now, that's how I want to see Roman Reigns come back.
To your point about the bells and whistles, Ryan, there was one thing during that Dolph Ziggler and Triple H match that made me more hopeful for the WrestleMania main event, and that's Stephanie McMahon at ringside. Just how good she is, just screaming and yelling at ringside. I almost hope Steph is ringside for the main event, because just her being there can add this whole other element to the match.
Yeah, she really does have that potential. As far as the beatdown, I think it was the appropriate thing they had to do. The problem was honestly time. If you're what does Stone Cold say? Like white meat, like a hot baby face. He says some kind of term like that.
Hot.
You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Like he always says this in his podcast, and I love it. But basically, you're the quintessential baby face, and you get injured, but you were still like, in the peak, or people are just immediately reacting exactly how they should. When you go back, that reaction is there, even when you're a heel. The premise, and we've talked about this with Rollins. Oh, he's going to get injured, and when he comes back, he's going to be cheered, great babyface, because they're going to miss him. Here we have a guy that we've not seen on TV for about 3 to 4 weeks. He comes back, and if anything, it's worse than getting cheered or booed. You sort of felt a sense of neutrality in the audience, and the people online, and myself, because I've had situations.
Let me ask you something, though. Is Roman Reigns getting booed because people were really that low on his return? Or are people just booing him because they decided that no matter what, they're just going to boo him anyway? Think about it. They were in what, Pittsburgh? So it's a little more of a smarky crowd for sure. It's not, I don't think it's the same as Philly, but it's still same state and everything. I just feel like no matter what that crowd decided, Roman Reigns can come out, he can throw candy and chocolate and money out into the crowd. We're going to boo him anyway because we decided that no matter what, we're just going to boo him because that's what we're supposed to do now. We have to rebel. So it's like a lost cause at this point.
And I agree 95%. But here's the problem. John Cena. Any crowd, whenever they buy a ticket, I guarantee you one of the top 5 first things they do is whether they decide whether they're going to boo or cheer Cena before they even know what program, what match. Cena knows that, and he reacts accordingly, whether it's because of creative freedom or because he's an expert at that. He makes that into his own thing. Roman Reigns, in this whole process, acts the same way. It does not matter how the crowd reacts. He reacts the same way. So if anything, that's more fuel for those people to just boo him.
Granted, because Cena, in a lot of cases, is actually won crowds over that started booing him. And, I mean, we can't expect Roman Reigns to have that type of ability yet, because obviously that takes many years. I mean, Cena, when he was initially getting booed in like 2005 and 6, he wasn't able to do that quite the same. Granted, he wasn't getting booed to the level he did in later years, but maybe that's something Roman Reigns is going to have to learn pretty quickly. I agree. There was not a lot of ways he could really adapt, though.
And I think that's a very important counterpoint to your point, Juan, is that while Cena is very good at getting a crowd behind him now, or just being like basically just owning all of the hate that he gets, it took him a lot of years to get there. During that time, like the 5 moves of doom, all of that time that everybody gives John Cena flack for, it was really the same thing as Roman Reigns, where even if he was getting cheered, even if he was getting booed, he would still do the same stick, still go out and do the same act, that whole John Cena never give up thing. There really isn't much of a difference between where Roman Reigns is now and where John Cena was in his career at that time.
Except that Roman Reigns, the hate came in a lot faster.
Yes.
A lot faster,
like Cena had a pretty successful babyface run for quite a while. It wasn't until his feud with Chris Jericho after he moved to Raw is when it kind of really started.
And that's a key point right there. There was a brand split at that point that allowed John Cena to establish himself on one show. So when he moved over to the other one, people sort of had an expectation. I remember even we were saying back then, oh, great, now we have that Cena coming over to Raw. And that was the case for years. I mean,
but even at that point in time, I still liked John Cena. A lot of people loved the Thuganomics gimmick, and it wasn't until, getting close to his winning his first title and then moving to Raw is when he started to move away from it, and he started to become something that people didn't really like as much. But he was over as a babyface way more and had the crowd support way more early on than Roman Reigns. The hate came pretty quickly for Reigns right from the get-go. And that's kind of unfortunate for him because it's really because of John Cena that people have turned on Reigns so quickly. It's because everyone feels like we're getting another John Cena. So people are a little more aggressive towards this hate, saying we want something different.
And that's completely valid. So let's actually just give that a little bit of time to marinate. Roman Reigns is scheduled to be on SmackDown after this whole beatdown thing he had going backstage and everything on Raw. Now, this is the bit of unfortunate news I brought up at the top of the show. We were treated to a really good match on Raw, a short match, but it was Neville versus Chris Jericho. Now, usually guys get injured with really high-risk spots. Like Seth Rollins got injured when he tried to powerbomb Kane through a table. And doing the flip on the corners would cost it. In this case, Neville got injured trying to perform a baseball slide, going underneath Jericho, just a casual spot, considering all the crazy stuff Neville does. Now he proceeds to try and continue the match, performing Hurricane Rana, a jawbreaker, a kick with the very leg that has a broken ankle, and eventually Jericho and the referee catch on. There's a bit of an awkward situation where Jericho tried to pin Neville. I guess maybe the ref didn't realize, so he didn't count the 3, even though Neville didn't move up. The fact of the matter is that WWE has confirmed that his ankle has been broken. Now, we don't know how severe the situation is. He's going to be going under additional evaluation, but a broken ankle. You're looking at easily 6 months to a year or more, depending on the severity. Now, guys, we're just weeks before WrestleMania. I don't know if you guys saw this, a backstage thing, but he basically started pouring out, crying on a video on YouTube because he just realized this. We're right there, just weeks before WrestleMania. Neville's out of the picture. Keith, taking it to you first. What is your reaction to this? And do you think this can in some way be good for Neville in the long term?
I mean, it's heartbreaking. There's no other word for it, especially seeing that backstage segment. Like, you've got Neville, a guy that debuted the night after WrestleMania, made it through the whole year, and then all of a sudden you're at the finish line, you're at the big money show, and boom, you're out for the littlest thing. And it's crazy from that respect. It's just freaking heartbreaking for Neville. I feel so bad for him. Maybe in the long run, it's a good thing, because with injuries like that, you always have to assume you're not going to come back the same way you were. So maybe this will cause Neville to slow down a little bit, maybe change up his style. Maybe in the end of the day, it'll add a little more longevity to his career. But for the moment, it's terrible. Even just like all of those jokes aside about, injuries. It's just so awful that stuff like this happens, and yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, I really feel for Neville. Like Keith said, he had basically debuted, this was his first WrestleMania going into it, and I'm sure he was pumped. That it's a dream for so many of these guys, so to have to wait another year to be able to kind of live that dream definitely sucks. And it's a really important moment for a lot of people on the WWE roster, so that really sucks. And as far as the whole Charles Robinson controversy, some people are on the fence of, Charles Robinson didn't know what was going on, and that's why Jericho pushed him to DQ himself and stuff like that. And then there's people on the other side who said everything was completely worked up, and Charles Robinson got word through his ear, and that whole finish was all planned out as intended. As far as what I've heard, I'm going to err on the side that the referee knew what was going on. There's always communication going on in the earpiece of the referee. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that was the designed ending, so that Jericho could have kind of a heel ending, which could prompt the AJ Styles kind of interference thing.
Now, bringing up some evidence, I'm going to be a lawyer here, just because it's something that it's rare that we see this just so out in the open. When Jericho goes for the pin, you notice that Neville does not get his shoulder up. Now, the next thing Jericho does is, while he pushes the ref, he keeps saying out loud, and you can hear it because I did play it back, he's hurt, he's hurt, he's hurt. And then afterwards, there is a reaction. But there's this awkward moment of, well, if Jericho and the ref are in on this, why would he just yell out randomly to the ref as a heel that the babyface is hurt? Shouldn't he be happy or glad that he's hurt? Regardless, this sucks so hard for Neville. I mean, we talked about this guy. Like, maybe he could have been the ultimate underdog WWE champion. This was a conversation piece we had a couple of months ago. He was lukewarm right now, so maybe this is somewhat beneficial. But regardless, we wish you, Neville, recover so we can see a red arrow off a ladder at next year's WrestleMania. You deserve that moment, man.
And also kudos to Jericho for just taking control of the whole situation.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that is a pro. Just improvising on the spot. Goes to show what a guy with easily over 10 years experience can just do on the fly and make it seem almost like it's part of the show. Now, guys, I just want a quick comment on this because we do have plenty of things to talk about, but Sami Zayn is a full-time member of the WWE roster now. He's been wrestling on SmackDown, on Raw, had this match against The Miz. He's probably going to officially have a match with Kevin Owens at WrestleMania. That's yet to be confirmed. Just quick reaction, Keith, Ryan, myself. Sami Zayn, do you like it? Does it feel weird? Does it feel right?
I like it, and it does feel weird, but I am still in the park where maybe Sami Zayn should have came after WrestleMania, because I don't want to see Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens one-on-one at WrestleMania. I still firmly stand behind that point. But all that being said, yeah, it's cool. Sami Zayn's up on the main roster. Sweet.
Yeah, I love Sami Zayn. Like Keith said, it does feel a little weird this close to WrestleMania to kind of have a new guy on the roster. It kind of feels like they have to rush him into a program. But of course, the whole Kevin Owens thing, Sami Zayn thing is just kind of an ongoing, never-ending feud.
It writes itself.
But you have to bring the casual audience up to speed on that, which is kind of tough to do with basically less than a month to build that. Less than a month to build this guy for a singles match at WrestleMania, which like Keith said, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that should happen. But Sami Zayn should definitely be in the mix.
Yeah, so Sami Zayn, welcome to the main roster. I agree completely with what you stated, Keith, where that one-on-one match should not happen at WrestleMania. One match that has been confirmed is one of the possibly multi-man matches that we're going to get. It's the New Day versus the League of Nations at WrestleMania. Now, we don't know if it's going to be 3-on-3 or if it's going to be 3-on-4, or maybe the New Day gets a sidekick temporarily. Do you guys like this idea? It's a little bit weird that we're just getting this out of nowhere. New Day just seemingly switched out of nowhere, and League of Nations is another lukewarm thing happening in WWE now. So your reactions?
So is this match not for the tag titles?
They challenged them to a multi-man match. They didn't say anything, at least on Raw, about it. Although, given that they've done the Freebird rule and everything, it seems like they should almost just apply that to this whole match.
Yeah, that's weird. But, I mean, cool. New Day's going to have a WrestleMania match, and what's not to get excited about that? If we want to talk about WrestleMania entrances, a New Day WrestleMania entrance has a lot of potential.
This feud has kind of felt forced because they pretty much had to turn the New Day face to be able to have this happen, because nobody's going to cheer for the League of Nations. It just seems a little thrown together. I mean, they're finally kind of getting some real heat between the two with that beatdown after the New Day retained the tag titles. But it just feels very thrown together to me. And New Day, since they've kind of had this face-ish run, they haven't really been quite the, just the home run promo that they were every single week. The Bootios thing. Where's the cereal, man? Where's the cereal? We all want the actual cereal. There's a t-shirt
in the box for $35, Ryan.
Yeah, the box is cool. Don't get me wrong. The box is cool, but I think everybody wanted the cereal, and I don't think WWE wanted to have to...
you ain't booty.
Yeah, I don't think WWE wanted to deal with the FDA and stuff like that, so maybe that's why they're not selling real food.
By the way, were you guys surprised the New Day won or retained the tag titles on Raw? Because I'm not going to lie, when I saw that Xavier was in the match, I was like, oh, God.
Yeah, that was unexpected. Whenever Xavier is part of the tag team actions, like, what? Hey, we get a special treat or something. Yeah, that's...
Well, they actually kind of got like meta about her, where like Rusev called out Xavier for how he's always just like a cheerleader and never actually defends the title. So they're like, hey, we're actually going to put him in a match this time. Apparently he wrestles all the time on house shows, but on Raw, I guess they prefer Xavier being the guy, he's got the trombone, and they like him, how he talks, so he yells at the crowd and all that. He's the best at being kind of that third guy outside the ring. So
plus, if anything, it's like a special treat that you get to see him wrestle on the house shows, because you're used to seeing him as a manager.
It's a shame though, because he is a very good wrestler, but because he's so good as kind of the manager guy too, for TV, it makes sense to always have him in that role.
What a problem to have. Just the worst kind of problem.
It is a good problem
Why
to have.
Why are you so good at more than 3 roles? I mean, you can't up, down, down. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, but back to the one last thing about the match is I really think this was thrown together because like the only other team for the New Day to face was the League of Nations, and the Wyatt family would just be kind of weird.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, gang, so the Raw conversation is not over. Barbie made an appearance on Raw with Dean Ambrose and Mick Foley. We've yet to talk about The Undertaker, but first, there are some things we want to bring to you first. Now, if you do go over to our YouTube channel, Byte That Cast, we have a lot of different videos, whether it be Fight Night, etc. There was a video that we poured out a couple of weeks ago as part of the BT Demmer giveaway, and it was us highlighting different pieces of WWE memorabilia that you have, whether it be an action figure, autograph. Keith and I did a video showcasing some of them, and we actually had a lot of fun with it. And some people did respond, hey, you guys gonna do a part 2? And we may. So, we are leaving it out to all of you to send us an email with either a link to your Gemmer account or a specific item. You can just upload the image directly to us. Send it to bytethatcast@gmail.com with, very important, the subject headline, simply collectibles. Just collectibles. Drop that there. We don't have a specific time frame. We want to make sure we build up a nice collection of your collections. So when we have that video, Ryan will be joining us, and we can talk about your things and others that we find.
Yeah, and if it has a story, make sure to include that as well.
Really important, because our favorite part was hearing about why. Not just why did you get it, but what does that mean to you? Now, something else, remember that whenever possible, I do review Lucha Underground on a weekly basis. That's on the channel. Last week, I reviewed the State of Fight Night, technically, while talking to Keith in an SRT, a kayfabe. We had a kayfabe SRT. It was the hardest thing we've done to date, but it was really fun. And this Thursday, Keith and I were going to talk about WWE Network. 2-year anniversary. It's about a week away, so we talk about it. What's been good? What's been bad? What's been happening? Keith, 2 years.
I know it's been a ride. We've been paying that $9.99 for over 2 years now. Take a minute and think about how much we've put into the WWE Network. At this point, get real sad and
yeah. I mean, like I'm just gonna say this quickly now, because we do have other things to talk about. The Edge and Christian show is something that the first episode did not leave the best impression on many, myself included. I pretty much discarded the show. I know you watched it also, right, Keith? First episode?
Yeah, I watched the first episode and was miserably turned off. Even by that first segment, I'm like, yeah, this isn't for me. And haven't really picked it up since.
Yeah, so Ryan, you haven't watched it, right?
I saw like the first 5 minutes after Roadblock of what they showed, and it wasn't that good, but I've heard it's better.
Yeah, now I'm just going to throw this out there. Get your imagination hat going on, okay? Now, this is a bit of a spoiler. I'm just going to bring up one thing. Everybody listening, if you're driving, if you're on the toilet, this will probably be like a really accurate moment to just listen to this. They have a countdown.
And just a release.
Yeah, so just get ready for this. They do have a countdown on the latest episode. That is the 5th episode, where they have the 5 superstars, male superstars, that have gone naked in WWE. Number 2 is Shawn Michaels, with the championship photo that many know and love. Now, number 1, isn't.
Is it Midian?
No, it's way
Is
better
it
than
Regal?
that. No. No, it is not Regal's dong. But
Is it Mae Young?
no, let me say it. You're building up. No, but
Big Dick Johnson.
no, though is he even in WWE anymore? Regardless, number one, ladies and gentlemen, is a live, in-person, naked Tommy Dreamer.
What?
He is literally imagine the Shawn Michaels pose, right? And he's just there with the ECW championship laying next to Edge, naked.
Oh, so he just shows up to do it?
And that is he never says anything. He's just there naked, smiling. And
Tommy Dreamer would do that.
Oh, that is a thing Tommy Dreamer would do.
What can you say? He's hardcore.
Yeah. The other quick thing that it did show me that they are willing to go into a lot of places with this show. They have a segment. I don't remember if it's exactly called like this, but things that WWE may talk about. So this first installment was with AJ Styles. They ask him two things. One, the Bullet Club, and they bring it up and they actually reference it. So they actually show a picture of the Bullet Club with the Young Bucks, Carl Anderson, the whole deal. And the next one they put up on TV saying the wrestling company, Keith is still thinking about Tommy Dreamer naked. I can tell. I can tell, Keith.
That kendo stick, though.
So shiny, smooth belly. Yeah, the next thing is that company AJ Styles worked for from 2002 to 2014. And AJ Styles starts like building it up and they have a pause and they put a picture of TNA, like Test Albert and Trish. They put that on screen.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, so then Edge and Christian proceed to just laugh and say, nah, they're never going to talk about that. And AJ says, yeah, they shouldn't. So even though that is a bit of a spoiler, I bring it up because otherwise some people may not see the show. And when you hear about this type of thing, it brings up, okay, so they are willing to go down that route. And how odd it is that it's in this show. It's like a Tosh.0 meets Carlos Mencia a little bit. Not the best example, but check it out. I would love to hear what you guys listening have to say about the show. Tweet us.
I'm going to catch up. You've sold
I'm going to
me.
give it a shot. I'm also going to just suffer through the first episode just to have comparison.
I'll be honest, you can easily skip the first 2 to 3 episodes. 4 and 5 are pretty good. Even then, they're an acquired taste. I tried showing them off to my wife, and she just stared at the episodes and questioned why I made her sit through that. But
what did you think of Tommy Dreamer?
Oh, I mean, we both loved that part. I mean, after that, I went to the bathroom. And moving on, ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 more topics. Ambrose and Foley. Man, this is a rough transition. Ambrose and Foley were on Raw. And Mick Foley gave him a gift in preparation for his WrestleMania match. And that gift, ladies and gentlemen, is Barbie, the baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire. Guys, let's be honest here. How do you even bring up Barbie in this era of wrestling in WWE? How can you even use it?
It's simple. Put him in a match with Brock Lesnar. I would believe that. That's how you beat Brock Lesnar. It's just hitting home this point that Dean Ambrose versus Brock Lesnar is just going to be violence. Just the craziest match. Just people are going to get hurt in that match.
I don't doubt that.
And I cannot wait. I am so excited for this match.
Yeah, people thought the Undertaker Shane match was gonna be the brutal match. I think this is going to be the true like gory match of the night, and maybe the other match is gonna be more like spotty with Shane. The barbed wire, when that comes out, a bunch of other things are probably going to come out too, potentially thumbtacks and things like that, maybe even a flaming table. Who knows? I feel like this kind of just opens the floodgates of how many weapons are going to be involved here. I can't see Brock Lesnar wanting to get hit with barbed wire, so I totally see this backfiring on Ambrose.
Absolutely, but imagine
he did in the indie scene, like he did a lot of those like death matches and stuff, and he was in CZW, correct?
Yeah.
You have this barbed wire baseball bat, and now you have Brock Lesnar swinging said barbed wire baseball bat.
My God.
Somebody dies because of that.
I just visualized Brock Lesnar F5ing Dean Ambrose through a flaming table. That's probably not likely to happen because he may go blind.
I don't think Ambrose is going face first into a flaming table.
The idea of it is cool.
Although, I mean, Edge did. Edge did do it with the spear.
True, yeah, because, man, yeah, you're good call. Good call. So anything's
He
possible.
also burned his eyebrows off when he did it, though.
That would probably be a good look for Ambrose. Yeah, guys, that match is, JBL would say, like, maybe, what would JBL say? Like, the asylum is gonna get violent tonight, Moggle.
Oh, the beast is unleashed, Moggle.
We should just have a things JBL would say segment just before WrestleMania.
Like, is there a JBL soundboard out there at this point? Because I feel like there should be.
All of them just have a button to the side that say Moggle at the end. So just whatever.
No,
Moggle.
You just make a combination. It's like, oh, this is Bowl and Shoe Ugly. Moggle.
Oh my God. GBO, man, crazy stuff. But we go from crazy and violent to crazy and violent part 2. The main segment on Raw, the last segment, features Shane, Vince, and the Undertaker. Now, this is the first official stare down we get between Shane and the Undertaker, and they go. I'm confused. Okay, I'm still confused. Like I thought that maybe this was going to be the time where they justify why the Undertaker is aligning himself with Vince. If anything, I'm more confused because even the Undertaker kind of wanted to hit Vince and chokeslammed Shane, and Vince like bad talked Undertaker, yet Undertaker's still okay with this match. My head hurts.
And not only that, or throw away Undertaker's whole legacy. He has his UFC gloves, and that's all he needs. That was the stupidest thing. That, and I don't know about you, but if you've got Undertaker in a corner, giving him probably the worst punches in wrestling history, don't do a stupid little dance. That whole spot was just so bad. It almost like made me less excited for that match because it was so weird. It was all over the place. Their whole reasoning and justification just, I don't even know where they're going with it anymore.
That's kind of the reason subtlety in wrestling just doesn't work sometimes, is because Shane's trying to do like, not maybe I guess like MMA martial arts type of strikes, which in wrestling, everything needs to be very exaggerated.
They don't do the Shane O'Mac shuffle in MMA.
I know, but you know what I'm saying? Like when he was fighting the security guards and he's trying to throw these quick punches. Maybe they do. Like all right, there was the Ali UFC shuffle. Fight. All right, so suck it, okay? Deal with that.
I just picture like an actual UFC fight, like a punch just shuffling everywhere, and everybody's just like, "What's wrong with him? Is that CM Punk?"
It happened in boxing, man. Screw you. Okay. So there needs to be exaggerated strikes. Otherwise, it just looks like a whole heap of nothing going on. And then he starts doing a little dance. So that's why it looked like crap. Yeah. Undertaker still doesn't make sense why he just went along with it. But I mean, he's kind of just gone along with any challenge, I guess, in the history of wrestling.
And he's full heel now, for that matter.
Basically. It's weird, though, because he did more heel stuff against Brock Lesnar, like kicking him in the balls and stuff. It's weird. And then he kind of goes at, like, I think just to keep his integrity intact, he had to go after Vince McMahon. He had to look like, yeah, I'm fighting your son, but if you mess with me at all, I have no problems, like, beating the hell out of you. That was the only thing that kind of helped.
I love Vince McMahon. He's the best. But never have him hurry out of a ring ever again. How he just kind of flopped and then rolled. Great. It wasn't graceful.
I thought he was going to tear both his squads, his quads out again, like he did at the Rumble.
Scrotum.
Well, hey, I mean, at his age,
the grapefruits, man,
the grapefruits.
Got to get those Spirit Squads strong.
That being said, I'm still looking forward to the Hell in a Cell. The Brock Lesnar Dean Ambrose match is by far the match I'm looking forward to WrestleMania. It's not even funny. That is the match you get the popcorn and nachos with extra cheese and a nice bottle of water because I drink water.
So you're going to have the nachos. You're going to put extra cheese on it and make it like the worst. Like the best worst. But you're still going to skimp out on the water? No, I'm saying just like health-wise, it's the worst.
I just don't like soda.
You're still going to go with the water.
I just don't like soda. It's not a matter of health.
Soda pop.
I just don't like soda.
That's fair.
I haven't drank Coca-Cola in like 8 years, so
that's probably good. You're not going to get the diabetes.
Diabetes. Michael.
This episode is not brought to you by Mountain Dew Kickstart this week.
Yeah, not at all, man. But gang, it's been really fun. There are a lot of things developing. So throughout the next couple of weeks, the format of the podcast, it's WrestleMania tradition. It will change drastically depending on things like Neville's injury, things like matches being announced, storylines developing. But something that will never change are your questions being brought up to the show. You can send them over to bytethatcast@gmail.com or send us a tweet with the hashtag AskBT. Or if you're watching on YouTube, just drop a comment on this very installment of the podcast. Now, we can't always guarantee that every question will make it because the question list is growing strong. But now I will leave you with Keith, who will bring up the questions, and we will do our best to answer.
With the wise words of Funaki, indeed. Our first question comes from Anthony H., who asks, "Hey guys, Anthony here. Longtime viewer since the Bytes of 2014.
Wow.
That feels forever ago.
You guys will still always be my favorite podcast on YouTube. Yay. Do you guys think
iTunes?
That...
Yeah.
I want answers, Anthony.
Tune in radio.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, on to Anthony's question. Do you guys think that AJ Styles should turn heel and lead the Bullet Club with Balor, or stay face and feud with them? Keep up the great work, guys. Hashtag Juan's new boy."
Yeah.
You got another boy?
I got another boy, Michael. Bullet Club.
Do you even
AJ.
have enough money to support them?
I don't think so.
No. Father's Day is becoming a good day for you.
That's true. You do got Father's Day.
Where are my gifts, boys? But, okay, my quick answer with AJ Styles and the Bullet Club. I think AJ should stay babyface. AJ should be the character that he portrayed on the 5th episode of the Edge and Christian show, which was the sort of goofy AJ, which was funny considering Christian was there. And that was the AJ that was in TNA when Christian Cage was the thing there with Tomko. And it worked. And you saw that spark, and you could almost tell that's exactly what they were going for. And people forget, the coolest AJ has never been like the whole deep, dark, serious, emo-y AJ.
Oh, but that's the best AJ.
No, I strongly disagree. So I think it should be AJ against the Bullet Club. Now, let's leave it to Keith, because apparently he disagrees with that.
So before I get to my point, Juan, are you telling me that inside of AJ a light was turned on and then he was alive? That's Christian's theme song. All right, moving onwards. Please. No, AJ, the best AJ Styles, and I will fight this to the death, is feuding with Aces and Eights AJ Styles, deep, dark, depressed. It's been so long, hard days.
Keith is just
theme
a lean,
AJ
mean
Styles.
karaoke machine tonight.
I am. I'm on fire. But no, that is the best AJ Styles. I hate stupid, I'm Prince AJ from back in the day. Oh, no, not that one.
No, let's not go there. Yeah, we can agree on that.
But yeah, no, serious AJ's the good AJ.
They use that cool theme for random Wyatt feud promo, but they won't just give it to AJ to use as his entrance theme.
Right?
But he does have former strength.
It's almost like a sweet little middle finger to TNA.
Yeah, basically. I love that style of AJ, but I also think he is best as a babyface. His moveset is just really fun, so it really lends himself to being a babyface. And I feel like the whole goofy AJ thing, I feel like that's better kind of as a heel thing and not necessarily as a babyface thing. So, that can always be something down the line. But right now, I would say definitely keep him as a babyface. He's too likable. and that's the way to go for now. And if the Bullet Club does come up, sure, have them feud with it. They could, allude to some history between them without explicitly saying it. So, there's a lot of ways you could go with it.
Yeah, true enough. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Medento Gaming, who says, I got a question, guys. Looking at the WrestleMania 31 compared to WrestleMania 32, who do you think has made the biggest move up the card, and who do you think has fallen the most?
For context, here's a really quick rundown of the WrestleMania 31 card. Big Show won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which has confirmed. It is confirmed that it will be coming back. D-Bry won the ladder match for the IC title, which featured Bad News Barrett, R-Truth, Dean Ambrose, Luke Harper, Ziggler, and Stardust. Randy defeated Rollins. Triple H defeated Sting. AJ Lee and Paige defeated the Bella Twins. Cena defeated Rusev. Undertaker defeated Wyatt. And Seth Rollins defeated Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns.
This is a pretty easy one. I think Dean Ambrose has definitely made the most progress. There's a lot of people who were on that show who are not even going to be on this show. And there's a lot of people who weren't even there last year that are going to be on this show. But as far as who's there who actually made a significant jump, definitely Dean Ambrose. You could also kind of throw the New Day on there as well.
Yeah. Were they in the armbar?
No, they were in the Fatal 4-Way tag match for the tag titles.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That was a was that on a pre-show,
yeah.
I think? Yeah.
Okay. I think you're right with Dean Ambrose. And as far as who's fallen the most, if your answer is not Bray Wyatt, I question your existence.
Yeah, as far as
Rusev
people
is
who are
up
going to
there.
be on the card.
No, it's not. Like, Rusev has fallen, but it's not even in the same neighborhood as Bray Wyatt. There's a chance that Bray Wyatt's not even going to be on the show this year, whether it be because of injury or not. He went from facing The Undertaker to not even potentially being on the show, nor being want to be seen on the show. We even said it a few weeks ago that if Bray Wyatt's not on the show, whatever, okay, moving on. He went from facing The Undertaker to that.
I still think Rusev is a strong contender. So I'm just going to go with him because, you go from Cena to now, we know what happened afterwards, from the romantic triangles and 4-ways to now the League of Nations. Not really being treated all that much okay, let's put it this way. Directly match related. He went from John Cena versus Rusev to a basically 3-on-4 or 4-on-4 tag match at Mania.
I give Juan a lot of credit here because I think he's onto something where, okay, even just taking away kind of card position, just to see the strength of the superstar, to go from how they were, Rusev was seen as just an ultimate force going into WrestleMania last year. And this year, he's just kind of another guy in a faction. So that is a big fall from grace.
We all thought last year that Bray Wyatt was going to take the reins from The Undertaker, to be the, quote, new face of fear, to take that mantle.
Even then.
And then now he's an afterthought.
But even then, we were thinking, this better happen. Otherwise, that's it. With Rusev, we knew he was going to lose going in. There was no doubt about it.
Those are probably the top two guys, though, who have fallen, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're going to have to agree to disagree on this one.
Good.
But nonetheless, thank you for the question. Our next one, we actually got a couple times, so I will credit to Philly the Kid and Speed Demon 4533, who asks, two-part question. Do you think that Smarks are going to drown out the main event with a chorus of boos, the main event of WrestleMania, a chorus of boos, boring, CM Punk, and other run-of-the-mill sarcastic chants? Or do you think that the WWE is going to pull a fast one and not make the title match the main event? For example, maybe Shane or The Undertaker could close out the show.
It's a tough one, because if this Raw had not happened, I could have totally bought the Hell in a Cell as the possible main event, but the streak's no longer on the line. So it is going to be Triple H, Roman Reigns, and yes, that match is going to be heavily edited for the network, because regardless of how good it is, you are going to hear the CM Punk chants, the boring chants, we want refunds, And they're going to hear Macho Man chants. You're going to hear every smarky chant that you hear whenever people just want to. You may see a wave form in the crowd, for that matter. I see a wave forming with 100,000 people, which is kind of cool, but it's going to happen.
Yep. I definitely think especially the WrestleMania crowd, the most passionate wrestling fans from all over the world are going to be there, and they're going to do everything in their power to crap on this match because that they're going in there with the mindset ahead of time to not even give it a chance. There is a chance that they could win the crowd over by the end of the match, but at the very start, they're just going to do everything they can to disrespect this match because they want to.
I think at first, for sure, they are just going to poo-poo all over the entire match. But to go back to a point I made earlier, I think if they use the Stephanie McMahon card, it's a very smart way to instead make the match less about just crapping all over the fact that Roman Reigns is in the main event and kind of push the heat more towards herself, more towards Triple H. Like, have her screaming ringside and move all of that hate, all of those boos towards Stephanie McMahon as a character, instead kind of distracting the fans from the whole thing. Think about just, if you need an example, go back and watch Daniel Bryan versus Triple H from WrestleMania 30. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's something that could really add to that match and almost make up for this whole Roman Reigns thing.
Excellent point on that.
Indeed. But thank you for the question. Our next one comes from Nick H., who asks, "Hey, big fan of the show and enjoy listening every week. I've only been watching wrestling since Survivor Series 2014, and I just can't get into the Stone Cold character. Everyone loves him, and I'm wondering what I'm missing. Any Stone Cold matches or promos that you would recommend?"
Well, Stone Cold, there is a DVD documentary, which kind of is a good way to get the kind of the history of his character and what went into the build-up. So if you wanted just a summary to start, to just kind of know the whole story of his career, what led to it, and how he became Stone Cold Steve Austin, that's kind of a good intro. And then there's there's the famous Austin 316 promo. There's so many segments where he's, the beer truck. There's the, there's the filling the car with cement and all that. There's tons of, the Bang 316 where Vince McMahon pisses his pants. There's
Is there a
the
WWE
scene,
collection on the network?
I am actually looking that up right now. There is a Best of Stone Cold versus Vince McMahon.
Yeah. Yeah, as far as matches, you've got Stone Cold versus Vince McMahon in the steel cage at St. Valentine's Day Massacre. You've got the 3 WrestleMania matches against The Rock. I think those are kind of a good place to start with those. I believe he faced Kurt Angle. I don't remember the pay-per-view.
That was SummerSlam 01, I'm thinking.
Through most of 2001. Like the back half of 2001, those guys fought. But yeah, those are all solid recommendations. If you want to go a little more in depth, just watch all of the Attitude Era on the network and see how, or like take into context the time and place and how much the WWF at the time changed kind of around the Stone Cold character. Think about how it went from this family-friendly, we've got a garbage man fighting a hockey player, to this Stone Cold Steve Austin character that was just anti-rules, anti-organization, anti-authority, and how he really molded what the Attitude Era, which most consider to be the greatest era in wrestling history, became. And yeah, being the centerpiece of it, that's where Stone Cold Steve Austin gets most of his love. As far as the individual moments, a lot of what Ryan said, I would totally recommend.
And one quick thing is maybe why it's harder for you to get into it is like Stone Cold Steve Austin is basically the reason why this anti-authority thing is just a continual process that just recycles all the time in WWE. So to you, having a guy like Stone Cold who's against the boss probably doesn't seem new, because ever since you've been watching, that's what's always going on. But this was really the groundbreaking anti-authority story.
It was.
And I think another quick thing I want to bring up is that from a match standpoint, if you go back, Stone Cold, his matches, if you're not invested into the storyline, there's not a lot much in there because of the injuries that he sustained. A lot of his matches were punches and kicks and the thrust presses and suplexes, but it's not like you're going to see this wrestling clinic, as some people may want to say, and it's because his character wasn't about that. It was about the storyline. So the best advice I can give you is, go on the network, look up Collections, Best of Stone Cold versus Mr. McMahon, because if you just go back and watch the matches like The Rock versus Stone Cold, WrestleMania 19, and you don't know why that third match is so important because Stone Cold was not able to defeat The Rock and how that came to be, it's just another match. And the same thing can be said about any other match, especially in WWE. So Collection, check it out and let us know, like after watching that, if your perspective about Stone Cold is a little bit different.
Yeah, totally. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Promo Neil, who asks, I'm sure y'all are fans of Mauro Ranallo. I said his name
Yes.
right. I always feel like I butcher it. All right. Do you think he should be calling matches for WrestleMania? If so, who should he replace?
Yes, and replace everybody.
Realistically, I don't think he's going to replace anyone. They're just going to probably have two separate commentary teams. They could probably have him and Jerry Lawler just as a two-man team, or I don't know if Byron Saxton wants to do double duty on both three-man teams.
He just swings the chair, just goes to the other.
However they want to do
guys.
it. I'm sure they have other commentators that they could also put as the third guy for that team, but why not put Mauro Ranallo in there and have him call the Intercontinental title match, which is usually, there's a lot of Intercontinental feuds featured on SmackDown. So you could do that. You could also just have him call the U.S. title match as well, and maybe a few others. I don't know if he's going to get an entire half of the card, but I think you could at least give the SmackDown announcing team at least a couple matches.
Totally. And I almost feel like it's too soon because he is still fairly new to the company. So maybe this year it might be a no-go. Maybe even he commentates the pre-show or something like that, but not this year.
They did that for Fastlane, right?
Yeah, exactly. So this year's probably a no-go, at least in my opinion, but next year, totally. And he should be the head commentator. I think he should take Michael Cole's role by this time next year, honestly.
Won't happen, but the dream is a thing. The dream is there, Keith.
My dreams can still be dreams. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Jack A., who asks, who will be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame first, Daniel Bryan or John Cena? And does John Cena need to win his 16th WWE Championship when he returns to be first? Thanks, guys. Loved the podcast.
Well, both of these guys are absolutely shoo-ins for the Hall of Fame, without question. Cena was in probably before his third championship, basically. Yeah. So he doesn't really need to worry about how many he actually wins to get in. Daniel Bryan seems like the obvious pick to go in first because he's already retired. A lot of these guys don't go in until they're retired or basically retired. So Cena's probably got a good chunk of years left in him, even if it's on a part-time schedule. So Daniel Bryan could go in as soon as next year, and Cena's probably way further down the line.
Yeah, Daniel Bryan, 3 to 4 years tops before he's inducted. John Cena should be inducted now and just continue to wrestle, because at this point, John Cena is the WWE, whether people like it or not. But by far, both are more than very much deserving to be inductees into the Hall of Fame. More so Cena than Bryan. Let's be perfectly honest here. I mean,
absolutely.
All of Cena's contributions are far exceed even Hulk Hogan. I know in the context of time, it may be similar, but just think about the non-wrestling things that Cena does for the company. It is out of this world, pretty much.
I think, honestly, of everybody, Cena deserves to be in the Hall of Fame the most. Maybe bar the Undertaker, but that's a whole other conversation. But that being said, I do think Daniel Bryan will go in first because he is injured or he's retired. So it seems it's almost like the Edge case, if that makes sense, where just because Edge had retired, he went into the Hall of Fame immediately after. So I can see Daniel Bryan going in first because of that. I think John Cena's 16th world or championship win is irrelevant when it comes to him going into the Hall of Fame, because like Ryan said, by the time he got his third title, he was in. So, yeah. Thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Tom Taylor, who asks, "Hey guys, do you think Mark Henry will have a match at WrestleMania? If so, who, and will it be his last match?"
The Battle Royal.
Yep.
Yeah, he's probably in the Battle Royal. Whether or not, I don't think it's going to be his last match. I don't know when his contract is done. I know this is his last WWE contract. He's actually said that in interviews. But I don't remember when that necessarily is up. So hopefully he gets his true retirement angle, and hopefully it's as awesome as his fake retirement angle was, because he definitely deserves it.
That was so good.
No kidding. Oh, so good.
The salmon-colored jacket needs to come back.
One more time. One more time.
Yeah. No, he'll probably be in the armbar, and it won't be his last match. All right. So thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Terrence Jordan, who asks, "If you guys had to pick a wrestler or tag team with the worst gimmick, who would it be?" He says the Spirit Squad or Simon Dean. And hey, Simon Dean was
Both
awesome.
of those gimmicks were great.
Yeah. If you go back to like 2005, 2006, especially on SmackDown, you had these weird tag teams. Like, remember when the Basham brothers were with Shaniqua and they had like the whole dominatrix thing?
What about the Dicks?
There we go. Yeah, that was the one that I was thinking about. The Dicks, they had like this really, really short-lived run.
The Heartthrobs.
Oh, man. Romeo and Antonio.
Sometimes I forget that those were two different tag teams.
Kenzo Suzuki and Rene Dupree.
Okay, that is up there. That is up there, because from day one, you knew that wasn't going anywhere. But those three teams right there, they're not even bad gimmicks. They're just bad.
I mean, you could even say, like, the Boogeyman is, like, on the fence of being just a
Deuce
terrible...
and Domino.
Yeah, that is another one.
Boogeyman, though, has become a bit of a cult classic. If you go to the network, now he's like,
he kind of became a thing, but he became a thing because of it was so bad it was good kind of thing, I guess. Mordecai, a very failed
that is up there.
Oh,
because it's the combination.
That's probably the most disappointing gimmick of all time.
Because from day one, anybody that has not heard of Mordecai,
what about Kizarny?
Oh, okay, man, and this was all around the same time. If you really think about
Paul Burchill, the pirate.
That's Pirate Paul is awesome. Disappointing, but awesome. Never found that treasure.
But with Mordecai, let's go back to Mordecai for a couple of seconds, because that was so short-lived. Most people probably know who Kevin Thorne is before they know who Mordecai is. Basically, he was supposed to be the opposite of Undertaker, but from the moment that he took that robe off, people knew he was going to fail, and he did. And there was another guy, probably the biggest fail. I don't even know the name. I don't even know if you guys know about this. He had a one-day feud on SmackDown with The Undertaker. I forget what his name was.
Hell, I know who you're talking about. What is his name?
Yeah, basically for context, because I'm not sure if Ryan was watching around the time, but the experiment.
I don't think so, but this sounds familiar. Like, I read about this.
Yeah, there's a promo online, but basically it went over so bad that they completely ignored it the following week and removed any reference from this. It was a slightly dark character persona, and he had a video package and something else. But yeah, if you guys can remember who it is, because we honestly can't recall right now. Keith is breaking his head trying to think about this right now.
It kills me when I don't know these.
But the scary thing is, all of this was around the same 1 to 2 year cycle. That was a rough time.
I find it interesting because I was ready with this question to just basically list the roster from 95 to 97-ish with the whole the Goon, the Gobbledygooker, or whatchamacallit, the Repo Man, the Garbage Man, and all of those guys. But man, that era gets a lot of unnecessary flack for the simple fact that that SmackDown 2004 era gives it a pretty good run for its money. So it's interesting.
Yeah, it's like 2005, because Doink and all of those, they're just over the top and crazy. These are just bad. Like, you want to have gimmicks without them
There's
being
no defending
gimmicks.
a garbage man. There's no defending the garbage man. Though.
Somebody's got to take out the trash.
I'm trying to find this.
Yeah, it's difficult. Ryan,
all right,
just keep looking.
You keep looking.
Is it in his
we got a couple
wiki.
of questions left. You find it. Thank you
said
for
it was
the
around
question.
2000 and like
2005, 2006, I'm thinking.
Yeah, it was around then. But for now, our next question comes from Barnaballs. Balls, who asks, bit of a random question, but what do you guys think of Elias Samson?
Great theme.
Now, this is the Drifter.
Yes.
This is the Drifter, right?
This is a great one for me to sit out.
Yeah, right. Just keep looking for the guy. He has a great theme song and will fail unless they do something. He's got a great look, but I don't know what he is. And even Corey Graves on commentary says, I don't know what he is. And most people
it's
think
the whole Drifter thing. I honestly think it's the Drifter thing. It's one of those things where it doesn't work in wrestling in the way that you can build this character, this whole persona, but the second he enters the ring and the bell rings, everything just falls flat. That whole Drifter persona thing just disappears. And that's where I think the disconnect is with Elias Samson. And I agree completely. He will fail. In the current state that he is in, he will fail, and it will be bad. I do not think the Drifter angle is a sustainable thing, and he'll probably see a repackaging.
And I think more so it does remind you that there are failures within NXT with Bull Dempsey, with Solomon Crow, with Cassius Ohno, for whatever the reason, because we're not here to like specify why. But
even gimmick-wise, look at Bull Dempsey as an example. He was not always bull fit. For a while there, he was that whole last of a dying era.
Of a dying breed,
And, that's it. And then that fell very flat.
Because then Kevin Owens showed up, and basically that was Bull Dempsey, but better.
Pretty much. Lest we not forget Bull Dempsey versus Baron Corbin.
He's now known as Bull... he's active
Nakana.
now. Bull James. He's now Bull James in the independent scene.
Cool. And I hope it works out for Bull. But nonetheless, thank you for the question. Our next one comes in from Edward E., who asks, can you have a great feud without good matches at the end of it?
I'm just going to say, this question could easily be an SRT or podcast. So
absolutely. I love this question.
Yeah, we may have to take this question on at a later time. I'm just going to quickly say, and you can have anything in wrestling. And I know that seems ambiguous, but there have been storylines where the matches have been terrible at the end, but the storyline is so good. Or there have been storylines that have been terrible with great matches.
Exactly. Nobody remembers matches more than they remember moments, right? As long as a storyline has good moments. Like, just to use one example, look at the Nexus. Everybody remembers the beginning part of the Nexus and how awesome it is. Nobody remembers Wade Barrett versus John Cena in a chair match at TLC, which was basically the end of that feud. People consider the Nexus one of the coolest storylines of the last while. So I think you totally can have a great feud without great matches needed at the conclusion.
Yeah, to chime in on that, I think you guys make a lot of sense with the moments that matter. You know, if there's a lot of cool, memorable moments, people will tend to they'll gloss over matches that weren't that good. But even though I haven't seen this because I didn't watch WCW growing up, but I always hear about like Sting and Hulk Hogan where they had an amazing build-up. But the end result was pretty bad, and it left a sour taste in people's mouths. And people remember that it just ended very badly and just not in a good way. So,
but at the same time, when you think Sting, you think that Sting. That is the ultimate Sting.
This is true, but just looking from a feud perspective, if it's maybe just a mediocre match, people might forget it. But if it does have a really sour ending, people will remember that as well.
Yeah, true enough. So thank you for the question. Our final question of the show comes in from Harry Hateful, who asks, what is your all-time favorite mid-card title match. #FireKeith. Thanks, buddy, for the support.
I can't stress that last part enough. For me, I don't know why this match came up, but RVD versus Jeff Hardy for the Hardcore Championship at Invasion 2001.
That there is a solid answer.
It's a random match because honestly, I rarely hear about it. But it was a match that I rewatched a lot because it was one of the first real like WWE versus ECW, and they could still have like more hardcore matches. I love the entrance that they had with Invasion where they could go down 2 different sets of ramps, and they actually used that in this match. It was a dream match, essentially, that actually delivered, because not all dream matches end up being great.
True. No, that's a very solid answer. Mine would be WrestleMania 2000, triple threat match, Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho, Kurt Angle for the European and Intercontinental Champion. It is basically the ultimate mid-card title match. If you haven't gone and watched that match, it is a clinic of how to put on a great match.
I think I've watched that only
recommend
once.
It enough. You should go back and watch it again.
Some great examples. For some reason, one that came to mind that it was a very career-making match. Randy Orton versus Mick Foley for the Intercontinental Championship.
Yes, true enough. It's easy to forget that was for the Intercontinental Championship.
Yes, it was.
It was a great match without the title.
It's kind of a spoiler that Foley wasn't going to win, but it was an Intercontinental title match.
It goes to prove that even if a match is fantastic, you will forget about the fact it's a title match, and it just lives great on its own 2 feet.
Yeah, you can almost transform Edward's question. Can you have a great match regardless of the title? And yeah, some feuds,
absolutely,
it doesn't matter who wins. It's about the battle and knowing who just survived in the match. So everybody, it's been some really good questions. We got to get some of these into the form of an SRT. For those that don't know, SRTs are square round tables. So those are exclusively on the YouTube channel. So we take one topic, and sometimes we've talked upwards to 30 minutes about a single topic. So wait.
Hade Vanson, is that it?
Maybe could you post a link or something? We're doing this live, people.
I found a Reddit thread that said weird dropped angles, and it says Hade Vanson versus the Undertaker.
Hey, we'll go with it. It sounds like a dark
Google
character.
This real quick.
And if Ryan's terribly wrong, then just
call him
let us know in the
Vanson.
comments.
That is a bad name.
I think this is it. Let's see.
Sounds like it.
Okay.
Hade Vanson.
This is breaking news, people. By breaking news, I mean we're talking about something that's a decade old.
Vanson had been the original plan was to be involved in the storyline with the Undertaker, but the idea was soon dropped. So there was a SmackDown promo promoting his debut.
This is totally it.
Let's see. Yeah. All right, I got it.
What year was it? What year was it? Does it state?
2007? Wait.
We must know.
2008. He made his debut in December of 2008.
He was going to be called up January 9th, 2009, but then it never happened.
Okay, so for anywhere from 2007 to 2009.
No, it was late 2008, early 2009.
Okay, the mystery is solved because I know some people may have gone crazy if we ended the podcast without actually finding that information out. So Ryan, thank you. You have done people a service, a favor. Everybody.
Now do them one more.
One more.
That's right. We're going to do one more favor, Maggle, and close out the show. So thank you guys once again for listening to the Byte That Podcast. So before you go, just a few quick things to go over. We have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/Byte That Cast. Hit that subscribe button. We are close to 5,000 subscribers. Help us get there. So make sure you go over and do that this Friday. Right, we're moving those videos from Thursdays to Fridays. You can check out the SRT where Keith and Juan talk about the 2-year anniversary of the WWE Network and reflecting on that. We also will be having a weekend video up potentially this Sunday.
Yes,
and
it would actually be a fun video. It will be an unboxing video.
Ooh. It's exciting.
Boxes.
And also don't forget to check out that collectible video that Juan mentioned where we look over some of your collectibles, and if you want to send us your WWE collectibles that have not been featured, you can send
pictures
us,
of your collectibles.
you
don't have to physically
send us pictures.
Or send us the collection.
Keep your stuff. All right, keep your
Or
stuff,
not.
guys. Enjoy your stuff. But if you want to send us pictures and share your collectibles with us, you can send us an email, bytethatcast@gmail.com, and tell us a story, if there is one, with that item. And we might be doing a video down the line with that. So make sure to do that. Our social media, Twitter, @ByteThatCast. Facebook is /ByteThatCast. We're on Instagram, ByteThat, Wrestling Amino, ByteThat. For everything else, you can go to ByteThat.com. So 2 weeks, we have 2 Monday Night Raws left till WrestleMania. It's getting close, Michael. So thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next week.